What happens when an influencer ditches personal content for brand building? Today, Lexie Murray takes us inside Be Sane Social, her booming social media agency. How did she spot gaps in the industry and then build a team around them? How is she scaling into international markets while maintaining her sanity? And how does she set boundaries when her work is also her play? Welcome to the Anti-Work Podcast, a podcast where we chat to founders and professionals about staying sane while building a business. It's brought to you by Recess, a sustainable Aussie office furniture brand that's all about making work feel more like play. I'm Alessandra, and I'm your host. Thank you, Lexie, for being here on the Anti-Work Podcast. How are you feeling?
Thanks so much for having me. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling better than I felt this morning, which we can get into because that's, I think, what the theme of the podcast is.
To kick things off, Recess is all about making work feel like play. So we would like to ask a couple fun questions right at the beginning just to get a bit calm, get a bit, relaxed. And so I would love to know what your favorite recess snack at school was.
Because I went to school in England.
Okay.
And so they called it break time.
Yeah.
So I actually didn't know what that was. But I want to say my favorite snack was these little angel cake things. They were like came in vanilla, strawberry and chocolate, and they were unreal. And I'm just thinking about them now and I'm going to see if I can get them from the store.
Now, are you a morning or night person? What are your peak work hours and your peak fun play hours?
I actually go through phases, but at the moment I'm a night person, working until about like 8 p.m.-ish just because things are so chaotic at the moment. But what I usually do would be come home at 6 and laptop down. But just at the moment I'm working into the night and you can't get me up before 7:30 right now.
I can relate. I'm really working on being a morning person.
I know, me too. Especially in Sydney, you're like, well, you kind of have to be to fit in.
Right.
Like I live like eastern suburbs and everyone's up at the break of dawn.
Doing the beach walk.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're not at the gym at 5:30, what are you doing?
I know, right?
Sleeping. That's what I'm doing. Now, are you a minimalist desk person or a maximalist desk?
Look, I want to say I'm a minimalist, but if the girls were listening to this at the office, they would be like, liar. I am a stuff everywhere. But that's why we have Marnie.
Yeah.
She's amazing at putting me in line. But I will say I'm definitely stuff everywhere.
I feel like that's a creative energy kind of vibe, right?
Thank you, Alison.
Yeah, chaotic, but like creative, Let's jump into the basics about your business, career, a little bit more about your childhood and maybe what your goals were when you were younger.
Yes.
So for anyone who isn't familiar with Be Seen Social, could you please explain it?
Yeah, so Be Seen Socials, we're an organic social media agency. So I started the agency when I was 21 and that was on the back of a full-time influencer career. So, I started the influencer world really, really young. So I was in year 11 in high school and that was kind of when Instagram was starting and like the app was obviously available to download and people were starting to post just like regular things, just your daily things. And then one of my girlfriends who's also in the influencer space with me, we just kind of started posting. I'm talking, like the era of Skinny Me Tea and the kind of and like Triangle Swim, all of that kind of era, that was us. So I started that quite young and then that kind of catapulted my career into, the marketing space. I had a marketing degree as well. And that was when I kind of saw a bit of a gap in the market in the social media for brands, organic, So now, fast forward, it'll be 6 years in March. And so we have a team of, we're 10 women right now. And we're hiring 2 new girls on Friday, which is so exciting. So we're going to be a team of 12. And what I mean by organic is Be Seen really only offers 3 services. We shoot content for your brand, so content creation, social media management, so 5 posts a week on Instagram, 5 TikToks, and then influencer marketing as well for brands. And that's really that's the only 3 services we do. So when we say organic, it's everything that Instagram and TikTok will allow you to do for free. So we don't run paid ads or anything. We provide the content for paid ads, but we don't necessarily like put money on behind ads and everything like that. Yeah. So that's us.
Cool. How did starting your career in the influencer industry, how did that role evolve to lead you into deciding to start Be Seen?
When I first started the influencer world, everything just blew up really, really quickly because obviously the algorithm was so different to how it is now. And when I started it, I was so young and I was just loving posting content and obviously shooting for brands just super organically. And so then my following kind of grew slowly just from that passion to begin with. And then like one thing led to another in terms of like the following was growing. And it's so funny because I was actually not allowed social media. So I did this all privately behind my mum and dad's back.
Oh, wow.
I know. So ironically, they were anti-social media, which is funny now because my dad's actually our CFO. But so back then it was kind of everything was organic for me. And what happened was I was doing full-time Instagram and influencing during my degree.
Right.
So when everyone else was like, having the bar jobs and the cafe jobs, mine was influencer marketing. So I would go and shoot brands on the weekend and that was my career. And so then when I finished my degree, I got an opportunity to go and work as an intern for a programmatic marketing company in LA. And that was kind of my first, I guess, proper job. And still to this day, it's actually still my first only proper job that's worked in an office or worked for someone else. So that's kind of what happened because my influencer skills meant, well, back then I had no idea, but my influencer skills kind of meant that I could then create content for brands in-house or on agency level as well. So that's how we kind of built out those processes. Unfortunately, I came back to Australia. Noosa is where my parents live. So I went back for my 21st birthday. I got a full-time job at that company in LA, but then COVID hit. So I wasn't able to take that on. So the company was like, why don't you contract to us, work full-time for us from Australia? But then it just kind of became one of those things at 3 a.m. in the morning was like when they would have their team meetings and I would be up at 3 in the morning to do this job. And it just got a lot. So I started contracting to them. And then I figured out once you can contract to one person, you can kind of contract to another and another. And that's when Sane came about. I guess it was all like it kind of came with the flow of everything. Do you know what's so funny is like I had that little like launch moment, where we all, again, everyone that has a business or a small business kind of has their little launch day. And mine was on the 1st of March. And I made the website go live. It was something I just built myself off Wix or whatnot. And I just made it go live on that random day. And that was when I just like built up a company. And from there, I think it was because of my influence I had following, and then I kind of put that onto the agency. So it wasn't something I even had any idea really what I was doing. Like the fact that it's even this big now, I'm still like, what? Because it wasn't as if I set out to make this a big business. So I was just putting a label on what I was already doing. And just I guess like opportunities kept coming through.
Yeah. That's awesome. When I would love to know, like, when you were younger, like growing up, did you always see yourself like starting something?
I love that question because when you listen to entrepreneurs talk on podcasts and they're like, yeah, I used to sell chocolate bars at school and I had this entrepreneurial journey, like car washes. I had none of that. I had absolutely none of that. I only had an authority issue as a kid or just in my later teen years. I really had issues with being told what to do. And that wasn't necessarily always by an employer, but it was like teachers and things like that or people in my life where I just really struggled to be told no or told do this, do that. And so it was just one of those things that fell naturally to me where it was like, well, okay, I'm just going to have to do something for myself because I'm not very good at being told what to do. So it's not as if I had some like kind of entrepreneurial like thing about me as a kid. It was just actually
I mean, maybe that was part
my
of
mum
it.
and dad
like-
might argue. I used to bake cakes and then I wanted to sell them, but they were like, these are not good enough.
Oh.
So maybe I did, but I would say probably not.
Yeah. But did you have like a childhood inspo? Like, is there anyone when you look back that's like, that's who I wanted to be?
Well, I think one of them, I mean, for myself, even though I definitely didn't have entrepreneurial, I guess I didn't really have an entrepreneurial bone in my body when I was younger. The person I looked up to the most was my dad because my dad was an entrepreneur. He had a big business himself. And so I think naturally, maybe, and not intentionally, was I always watching that. And that was kind of how maybe I just looked at him every day and saw what he did. And now we work so closely together. So yeah, he's probably been and is definitely still my biggest mentor and someone I look up to all the time. And I think all throughout my late teens and I guess my childhood, he was always just dad. And now having this business that we can work on together has been so special because we can really bond. It's so funny because I'm calling my dad twice, 3 times, 4 times a day.
Yeah.
And then mum's like, hello.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hi.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I would say definitely my dad.
That's so interesting because like I used to see photos of my mum in her like office in the city, and I didn't know what she was doing. Like I
Yeah,
didn't.
you never know.
As a child, I had no concept of like what her work was, but I was
Yeah.
like, I want to work in an office, and I
Yeah.
want to wear a pantsuit
Yeah.
and have my own office.
And it's those little things you don't realize,
Yeah.
right? Like I remember now that I have a business, I'm like, how on earth did you have 2 children, a wife, like family to come home to after the day I had? No, thank
Yeah.
you. No way. Like that's not. But then obviously I look up to him so much in that way too because of that.
Well, that's a good segue into my next question. I would love to know the moment that you knew that Be Seen had legs.
I mean, I really love that question because I feel like it was actually more recent than you might think because obviously starting the business 6 years ago, like it went fast, very fast. But one of the things that made me feel really confident in this business and has given me the confidence since is that there's this business club in Sydney and I joined it at 24. And I was one of the youngest members, if not probably the youngest member. And they would do these round table talks where we would talk about topics and I would be in the room with these men. They were double my age. They had kids my age and we would go around and talk about these really interesting topics about business and we'd go around the circle and contribute our knowledge and I would always get severe imposter syndrome and I still do now. The topic would be quite intense and I would bring up what I do and my side or contribute what I'm thinking from like I guess a Gen Z girl and to explain, social media management and social media and how it's so important for your business. And all of these men would turn around and be like, genius. What you're doing is great. I know a client. My business needs it. Oh, my daughter won't buy anything if it's not on an influencer. And I'm like, yeah, great. And it wasn't until I had that confidence, maybe probably didn't need it from them, but it's not until those really, really prominent conversations that came up that made me realize, okay, social media is not actually just because it's in our generation, we think that everyone's in it. Like, how do you not know it's important?
Yeah.
But when you're in rooms full of older people, the ones with the money, you're like, oh, actually people need to be educated on this.
Yeah.
And that's when I felt like I was validated.
Yeah. I was just going to say, like, I think it must feel like pretty validating, like being in those spaces. And I think like sometimes also me too, like having worked in social media and marketing like my whole career, sometimes you feel like it's
used
not
to it.
Yeah, but sometimes it's not necessarily like taken seriously.
No.
So having that and being in those spaces and feeling validated must feel
yeah,
really good.
yeah. And I think as well as we're starting to get global recognition for what we're doing, so starting to get clients overseas that are like, oh, we heard of you. Even though we have so many people in our country, like we want to come to you.
Yeah.
That's really important and that's been great as well. And I think one of the things that makes me feel really good about the agency and what we're producing is when we put up a job application.
Yeah.
And we get like 200, 300 applicants within the first day. Like that's insane.
Yeah.
Like that makes me feel like, okay, people actually like see this as a business.
No, I love
It's not
that.
like joining Lexie on her little side quest.
Yeah. Well, I guess on that, having seeing your business kind of grow so quickly, and given that this is also the anti-work podcast, we like to ask our guests about boundaries within their work. So it's probably a really tricky one, but and also starting off so young, right? Like at the time, you're kind of just looking after yourself, right? So it can be easy to just like work.
Yeah.
But I would love to know, like, how have you set boundaries over the years?
I mean, to be so honest, my boundaries come with no consistency because the thing is I can set boundaries when needed. But I think with business, and I don't want to sound toxic in a way of, you just got to work, because I think that there has to be balance. There always should be balance. But I also think as a business owner, we make the decision to give this everything. And I am being really selfish right now in a sense of like, I am focusing a lot on the business and it is my priority. And I'm very, very lucky that when I show up to work, I get to see all my best friends. And yeah, I might be the boss, but one day I'm being bossed around and the girls are telling me like, oh no, this is what needs to happen. And I'm always here to hear them out. And I think from that, it makes it a lot easier. But my boundaries aren't any different to what the girls' boundaries are too.
Yeah.
I will say like there's no consistency when you have a business. There's going to be times that you have to grind it out and
Yeah.
it's going to be late nights, but they're going to be made up with eventually things slowing down a little bit and being able to kind of set that.
Yeah.
I've always
Yeah.
been really proud because my partner and I live together, and something that's really made a difference for me is I do have no work Sundays. Like that's a really important thing for me. And Connor and I will always try and go to dinner, or I'll see my friends on a Saturday night. And then we do Saturday night where I don't work, and then Sunday I don't work. And then if obviously throughout the week he's working, I'm working, it kind of makes it not as bad. I don't mean this in this way, but I just think sometimes when you decide to start a business, you don't just start a business. Like for me anyway, I'm kind of all or nothing.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna just not get the work done because boundary, it's Sunday. I
Yeah.
worked on Sunday.
Yeah.
This time.
Yeah.
So I do practice. I don't practice what I preach sometimes, but I'm
Yeah.
also like, I know that this will come with a big break later
Yeah,
on in
exactly.
life. And I'm starting to see the fruits of my labor because I went to Europe twice this year, and I get to travel a lot for work now because the business is kind of able to work on its own. And so I would say, other than selling on packages, I've got roles in the company now that will actually allow me to, I guess, step back a little bit.
Cool. Well, I'm curious. That leads really nicely into my next question about founder-led content being really prominent, especially on TikTok at the moment, and this idea that you kind of founders or business owners are like the face of the brand. I've noticed you do some of your own as well, but I'm interested to hear your take on this trend of founders tying their identity to work so publicly as well. And maybe you have a different perspective because you kind of have always had the following, quote unquote, for Be Seen.
When I first interviewed Marnie for her role, I was like, you're going to help me build out my personal brand, okay? I can't get Marnie for 5 minutes because she's the office's like pride and joy. So everyone's like begging Marnie like for Marnie's time now. So I'm like the least important. But originally when I did look at hiring Marnie, I was super keen on her kind of building out with me and do shoot days every Friday. I think we've done one because it's really hard to find time.
Yeah.
But I think that if you've got a business, you have a customer, you need to be speaking to them yourself as well. I don't necessarily think your entire strategy needs to be founder-led, but I think that people buy from people and people buy from stories as well. So I do think it's really important to not necessarily always, hey guys, jumping on stories, no makeup, like kind of like be really raw and that type of thing and cry when things go badly on the internet. I don't necessarily think that needs to be the strategy all the time. In fact, there are definitely other ways to do it, but I always love having founder stories when there is a place for it and when I think it sets a point of difference, because the thing is there's always going to be competitors. If you're a skincare brand and there's another skincare brand, the difference, yes, your product will obviously have points of difference, but the biggest point of difference is you as the founder. So what do you do differently that no one else can do? And that will be the story that's only yours. So I love to play on that, and I love to use that more and like have people follow along those stories. And I think sometimes it can feel a little bit overwhelming, which is why as an agency, we break it down a lot smoother. So we'll actually speak about the founder in third person. We'll have them in our studio. We'll shoot the content for them. Like we'll make it a little bit more curated and less stressful and less like you don't have to think about it too much. But I do think it's really important, and it's something that I'm really enjoying seeing. Whether I think it's an absolute necessity, no, because I'm not going to say you have to do it. But I also think that if you have a business and you have an end customer and you have people that you think, or a story that you think is going to benefit someone else and really help mold your messaging around the product that you're selling, I think you should.
Yeah.
And you just need that support there. And we do that quite a lot now.
Yeah. Good to have some of yourself online, but also it's not the be all and end all. For you, social media is also your work, but it also is play. How do you navigate this and make sure that you're taking time for yourself?
Can I show you?
Yeah.
So
like, do you have like a personal account for your friends and your family? So
no.
you're not, like,
so this is how I like avoid. Okay, so this is my phone. And then, so this is like the home screen, right? So say for instance, I'm trying to get to my emails, which is like the death the death app. So you got ready? 1,
Yep.
2,
Right.
3, 4, 5,
There.
6.
Okay.
So far away.
Yeah.
And that's honestly to make my brain think about going there. So when I'm on the weekends and I'm out with my friends, muscle memory goes to Google or Gmail for me because it's like the app I'm the most on. And so my muscle memory, if I set it super far away and move it around a little bit every now and again, I find I have to go quite far to go and get it. So when I was in Europe with my fiance, having the time of our lives, and naturally I'll just go onto my Gmail for 1 second and just see something that you don't want to see, because as a business owner that's completely unavoidable. That's just part of it. And so then I make it so far away that I think to myself, oh, where am I? I'm on holiday. Why are you going to Gmail? So I think that's one of the things that stops me. It's like a barrier. So I definitely do that. The others, I am not, you know what? I think it's because I've been online for such a long time now. I don't have that urge that I used to just post for family and friends.
Yeah.
I have my group chat that's my family and our boyfriends, the 6 sailors. I'll post in there and I'll send updates to my grandparents, and that's really it. And then and the rest I just post to my normal story, really. And the girls and we have a Be Seen Snapchat. So if I want to send things to my friend group chats, I'll just do that too. So I don't have necessarily like a private account that I need to, because I don't feel as fulfilled by posting my daily life anymore that I used to. Which if you told me that when I was like 18, I would have been like, what? You don't post a story every second of what you're eating and drinking and doing and blah, blah. I'd be like, no, I don't believe you. But now I feel a little bit better about being private on a lot of things. Like I don't feel that urge to post as much as I used to.
Yeah. Do you find that having turned like a hobby of yours, like posting on social media, into work, that you've picked up new hobbies along the way, or are your hobbies still kind of centered around?
Is it bad to not have that many hobbies?
No, I don't think so.
What are your hobbies? Oh, you're DJing. I was going to say, because like, what do we like? I don't actually know what my hobbies are. Is that really bad?
No, that's like totally fine. I think.
Would you say like Pilates and coffees?
Yeah, like I don't know, even watching movies.
Is that a hobby?
I feel like that could be a hobby.
Okay.
I have not seen like so many movies, and I downloaded Letterboxd this year, and I was like, it's time for me to get
What's
through.
Letterboxd?
Like a social media app to log all the movies that you've seen.
Okay, well, I love to read.
Yeah. It's like Goodreads.
That's what I was thinking.
Letterboxd
it sounds
is
like Goodreads.
Goodreads.
I have and I haven't. Obviously, I've started reading a lot more. My favorite thing at the moment is to research new places to travel all the time. And then I also am a bit of a diary writer at the moment as well. So I'm kind of doing little, I'm not going to lie, I only go to my diary when I'm like hitting rock bottom. I'm like, oh, here we meet again. She's never like a happy diary. But I would say social media is still like a little bit of my side hobby in a way. Like I do have a manager that does like my influencer stuff. So she'll actually negotiate deals with me. I'll still do that as my side thing, but then 90% of my time is obviously Be Seen. So I'm still kind of in that influencer world, but only because I still love it. I love the opportunities. I love meeting people, like the brands that I'm getting to meet and work with that kind of double up. It's like get a good brand as like a influencer, and then like you build that relationship, and then like Be Seen can come later. So it's really, it goes hand in hand.
Yeah, awesome. Well, moving forward, where do you see Be Seen Social going? You know, global takeover?
Yeah,
world domination?
No, so I mean, in like, to put a long story short, at the moment we're expanding the team massively. So we used to think that in order to grow, we used to have heaps of different services, but we're growing into new markets. So instead of like adding on our services necessarily, we're actually, at the moment, this could change, but at the moment we are entering the US, the UK as like major markets that we're going into. So that's really exciting. We're also looking at like much bigger clients. So we're servicing bigger packages, bigger clients. And I just want to continue working with women-founded brands, because one of the major things we do is we launch businesses. So from the first sample phase, we'll launch a business from 0 to 100. And that's my honestly most fulfilling package. So I want to do a lot more of that. And then I'm starting an app.
Amazing.
Which is also like taking up so much of my time. So I'm co-founding an app in the influencer space at the moment as well. So
Cool.
it's not necessarily Be Seen, but it's just something that I'm doing
Yeah.
as well.
Awesome. Well, do you see Be Seen Social as a lifestyle business, or is it something that you're trying to scale? Like,
So scale.
yeah.
I don't think I would cry so much if it was just for my lifestyle.
Yeah.
No, she's here to scale. She's here to dominate for
Mhm.
sure. Yeah, and it's only just the beginning.
Yeah. Well, how do you define success for Be Seen Social then, whether it's professional or on a personal level?
I like that question. I would say success to us is to be a workplace that everyone loves to be at and never wants to take a day off from.
Mhm.
Okay, I say that with a grain of salt. We love our Saturday, Sundays. But I would say it's a place where everyone enjoys work and people. I always say success for us is that 50% of our clients come to us for the service we offer, but then 50% of what they get from us is the feeling that they
Mhm.
feel from being around us and around their account managers and the girls. So it's literally how much do we do for the client versus how good do we make the client feel and how good do they feel when they leave us, and that's really really important to me. So I guess on a personal level and a business level, having girls and continuing to grow a team of like really kind, really hardworking girls, that's probably what I see the most successful, and it's something I feel we've personally already achieved.
Amazing. That's yeah. I love the supporting girls.
Always.
So we'll round up. We're coming towards the end. We've got a couple more questions left. What advice would you give to someone who wants to build a business?
My biggest advice, we have all of this like founder led content and like be your own boss. I think it's important to learn from other people first. Go and take the internships, go and see how structures and businesses work.
Mhm.
I actually see me starting my company at 21 a really big personal weakness because I only worked for one company and I was an intern. So I never got to learn how you get a pay rise. How do you go and have a conversation with your boss about something you're not comfortable with? How do you deal with a conflict between you and a work colleague? These are all things that when you build out your own business to the scale I want my business to be, I wish I learned
Mhm.
in the workplace working for someone else, because always be able to make mistakes on someone else's dollar, but when it's on yours, it's a whole different ball game. So I think one of the things is that I would always advise someone that was wanting to start a business, no matter kind of what industry that is to go and work for someone first and learn from someone else, because it's going to be so detrimental when you do make those decisions. I'm relying on the girls that work for me now to be like, oh, like what was your old company like? Like, how did
Mhm.
they do that? Like, I don't know. Like, help me,
Yeah.
because I never had that experience. And whilst, yes, I don't regret it and I shouldn't regret it because we got to the place we are now, I definitely think that my biggest advice would be to go and step into a workplace prior.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about for founders? What kind of advice would you have there when it comes to setting boundaries and protecting their well-being? Because we
As
know
in
it
like
can
other
be,
founders?
yeah, we
Yeah,
know
okay.
like obviously it's when you're growing something, it requires a lot of commitment
Mm.
and a lot of sacrifice.
In all seriousness, I did start going through therapy this time last year, mainly because I think it's really important to remember like these pillars that you've got. Not to get all theory,
Hmm.
but I've always had this, I guess, theory in my head that life is made up of like 5 pillars. So it's like your relationships, your health, your friends, your family, and then business. All of those are equally as important to me. And all of those things need to be equal. They need to be like, they all have to have give you self-worth, and all of those things need to be really important for you and to you. And if when you're a business owner, one pillar, which is business, will always feel more important,
Hmm.
but it's up to you to make sure that you're feeling self-worth with all of those other ones too. So for me, I'm always making sure that every week, even though business is really busy, I'm always feeding my other pillars in that way. If one goes down, your other ones stand you up tall. And so I'm really, I guess, passionate about making sure that throughout the weeks, and even though things are really busy with work,
Hmm.
I'm prioritizing all those other pillars so that they're healthy too.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important to remember, to always have balance in those, because once one falls, you gotta rely on the other ones.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, that was a really nice way to conclude. That was
Well,
my last
thanks.
proper question, but I have my final one is just where can listeners find you?
I mean, inquiries always welcome.
Hmm.
bcsocials.com.au. Sorry. We have both, but .com.au is the active one right now. And then Be Seen Socials is on Instagram. We have a massive digital footprint at Be Seen, obviously.
Yeah.
And then just Lexie Murray on Instagram.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
This has been so fun. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much to Lexie for joining today's episode of the Anti-Work podcast. And thank you for tuning in. This show is produced by Centennial World Podcast Network. We'll be back next week with more conversations on work, play, and everything in between.